All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming to another one of our webinars here in this series. I'm Steve Wilson, VP of Acceleration at Foresight. Most of you here know me, so I won't spend too much time on myself or Foresight and what we do. That's how you got here. You all know Tony, who sent you the invite. If you do have any technical difficulties throughout, please do send him a direct message in the chat. I'm assuming it's over there for you guys like it is for me, but if it's not, I trust you. I trust you to figure this sort of thing out. Really happy you guys could make it today. I'm really excited for this particular topic. I had the opportunity to read this book, The Happiness Advantage, over the Christmas holidays, and it's got some great stats in there. It's got some great little tips and things you can do, and really talks about the productivity gains that psychologists have found and studied in whether people are in a positive mind frame, right? If you're happy, you're going to work harder and better and be more creative and come to that solution faster and overcome more challenges. And it's these things that you might think of as kind of touchy-feely, like, that are so important. You have to take time out. Being an entrepreneur is a very difficult thing to do at any time. It is especially difficult to do in the current world we live in, where there is this background stress that I think is elevated. So taking care of yourself is so important. Viewing this not as a sprint, but as a marathon. We've had some Foresight companies that we've supported have some wonderful exits recently. Nurio last year, they'd been in business for 12 years before their exit. That's a long time to be going and going and going. So you have to be taking care of yourself during that time. And Bala Power, not actually part of Foresight, but they are in the clean tech community. They had an exit this past year to Generac. Actually, the same company purchased them. They, I think, had been at it for about 18 or 19 years before their exit. So there are happy endings to these stories, but it may take you a while to get there. So we want to make sure you're taking care of yourself along the way. I read one book. I by no means am an expert. That's why we've invited Nicole Mixdorf here, who is to share some of what she's learned on the topic. As always, what are we going to do? I ramble for a few minutes, then I turn it over to Nicole to talk about some stress less strategies. We'll finish up with a little Q&A session where she'll be available to answer your questions. And finally, I'll come back to probably talk about what we're doing next week and any other fun things we've got going on at Foresight, like our BC Clean Tech Awards this Thursday. If you haven't registered, come check that out. Meet some of the other people doing some fun things in the industry. Before I move on, I did want to introduce Nicole. Nicole comes from Balance by Nature, where she's the Chief Wellness Officer. She founded Balance by Nature 8 years ago because of her own personal journey and discovery around the value of wellness in the workplace and finding balance in your life. The company recently has been named the top 10 employee wellness company in the United States for 2020, most innovative corporate health and wellness company in Western USA, so award-winning. She herself has won some awards, including most influential woman in corporate wellness. Without further ado, I will turn it over to Nicole for her to share more on the topic. Nicole?
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the introduction. I appreciate that. It's wonderful to be with all of you today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you now, and we'll jump in. I've got a lot planned for us today. So we are going to be talking about stress-less strategies, but it's a little bit more than that. We're going to be going through a little bit about emotional resilience as well, which is so important given everything that's happening right now in the world. And I'm going to be sharing with you as well my blueprint for a balanced life, which teaches you how to structure your day for success. So we've got a lot of great content to cover. We'll have some breakout sessions as well, which will give you the opportunity to create some meaningful discussions. And before we jump into the content, I just want to take a quick moment to ask all of you to just close your eyes for a second. Everybody just close your eyes for a minute. And what I want you to do is just think about your day. Think about everything that's happened today. Think about everything that's been going on in your life. And if you could pick one word, to sum up and describe how you're feeling right now, I want you to type that into the chat box. So you can open your eyes and just throw it into the chat box. How are you feeling right now? Let's see, we got stress, we got peace, we got tension, anxious, magical. Yeah, we've got the whole spectrum. We've got excited, frazzled, overwhelmed. Yeah, here. Schizophrenic, frustrated, curious. Yeah, we've got a lot, right? And it's so interesting how from any moment to any moment, we can be feeling almost anything. But it seems like this is pretty typical for most of the audiences that I'm talking to these days. It's like we're super stressed, overwhelmed, a lot going on. But then we've kind of also have some people that are really good at like cultivating that centered kind of balanced place, or even just to be in that moment, to be open to what we can learn and how we can improve our lives. All right, so let me jump into a little bit about myself before we get into the content. So as Stephen was introducing me, I'm the Chief Wellness Officer and the founder of Balance by Nature, which is an award-winning employee wellness company based in the US. Prior to launching the business, I actually spent my career in the corporate world, working my way up the ladder at a global firm. I loved what I did. I was managing a big international sales team. I was traveling all over the world. We were making lots of money. I was ticking all the boxes, right? I was checking all the boxes, and that was great, but with all of that came a lot of stress and intensity, which I'm sure many of you can relate to, because it almost doesn't matter what your role is. There's just a lot of intensity with what we all do every day, right? And that was okay for a long time until my dad got sick with cancer. And then all of a sudden, I not only had a lot of stress in my work life, now I had a lot of stress in my home life as well. And for me, when that stress really started hitting me from all sides, it eventually started making me physically sick. And for me, that manifested in my digestive system, in my immune system, and I developed bleeding ulcers. And let me tell you, when you don't feel good, it literally makes everything in your life so much harder. And the truth is, I didn't have time to slow down. I didn't. I had way too much on my plate, way too many responsibilities. And so I did what every corporate professional does, which is to just keep going, keep burning that candle from both ends, pop a few pills and hope the problem goes away. But that's just not sustainable. And after about a year of really pushing it really hard, the health condition really degraded to the point where it started affecting my ability to lead a meeting and do my job, and really started impacting my quality of life. And I was left with no other option but to take some time off of work. And as soon as I removed myself from a large source of stress in my life and started focusing a little bit more on my own self-care, the most miraculous thing happened. All my symptoms, poof, just disappeared. And that was a huge moment for me. That was an aha moment where I went, wow, you can exercise, you can eat healthy, you can have the quote unquote healthy lifestyle. But if you have so much stress in your life, it's like none of the rest even matters, right? And I knew that my story wasn't unique because all my colleagues were suffering too, but in their own unique way, because stress affects everyone so differently. For some people, it manifests in the digestive system. For other people, it's the migraines. For some, it's anxiety or depression or weight gain or whatever, right? And the truth is that busy professionals everywhere are dealing with all of these stress-related symptoms and not even realizing that stress is really the underlying culprit that's causing it. So that's kind of what inspired me to leave my corporate career behind to start up a wellness business, because I wanted to inspire other busy professionals just like yourselves to create more balance in their lives so that, they could keep performing at a high level, doing what they love, but in a more sustainable way so they can thrive. So Balance by Nature offers wellness experiences that support the physical, mental, emotional, social, and financial well-being of executives and employees. We have a wide range of virtual programs for fitness, nutrition, stress reduction, personal development, and team building. And today, I'm going to be walking you through one of our stress reduction and personal development sessions. And as we go through this session today, I want you to just pay attention and see what suggestions I give that resonate with you. Okay, I have a lot of different tools and techniques and ideas that I'm going to be sharing with you today. If you're somebody who likes to take notes, definitely grab some paper and a pen. But as we go through all of these, I want you to just pay attention and see if you can at least pick one thing that by the end of our time together today, that you can implement into your life and see how it makes you feel. All right, so let's just jump in. So can anybody relate to this photo right here? Got stress, right? I'm sure we probably may have even been there today, right? Stress is so pervasive throughout our society because we have so much going on. We're dealing with heavy workloads, deadlines, busy schedules, long hours, difficult conversations. And then on top of that, we're supposed to have a personal life, right? Which might be dealing with screaming children or financial issues or a sick parent or our own illness or a loss of a loved one. Or right now, on top of what I call the regular stress that we have an entirely new level of intensity that is sitting on top of that, caused from the global health pandemic that has completely changed our lives. There's a lot of fear about infection rates and getting sick and being around people, right? And we've have businesses that have been closed. Our own businesses may have been impacted by this, right? We're all dealing with that isolation and just being tired of being stuck at home and nowhere to go. And we're trying to juggle working from home and homeschooling kids. And, there's just so much happening right now. So the stress is unavoidable. We're all dealing with it. We're all feeling it in our own ways. So what actually happens in our bodies when we experience that stress? So I'm going to give you a little bit of background about this. So when you encounter a perceived threat, like a dog barking while you're walking, for example, your hypothalamus, which is this tiny region of the back of your brain, it sets off an alarm system in the body that says, danger, 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 right? And as soon as that happens, our adrenal glands start sending out all of these stress hormones into our bloodstream, like cortisol and adrenaline. And the purpose of that is to prepare us to fight or to run, right? That fight or flight stress response. Now, that was fine when our issue was being chased by tigers, back in caveman days. But unfortunately, our bodies still respond to stress in the exact same way, even though our stress is coming from turning on the news or opening your social media feed and seeing people arguing with each other or just getting too many emails, right? So our body still reacts in the same way. So this is what happens when all of the stress hormones get released in the body. What they do is that it starts increasing your heart rate, right? The heart rate starts to go up, the blood pressure goes up because of the adrenaline, and it boosts our energy supply. So that's to get us ready to run or to fight, right? Now, cortisol, which is the primary stress hormone, it increases the amount of glucose or sugar that's available in your bloodstream. And that's because our bodies are fueled by sugar. So if we need to run or if we need to fight, we need fuel, right? So our body starts secreting all of the sugar into our bloodstream so that we have, the juice that we need to get going, right? Now, in addition to that, the cortisol also shuts down what are considered the non-essential body functions. Things like our immune system, our digestive system, our reproductive system, our growth process, etc. And on top of that, we also, these responses that happen in the body communicate with our brain and the parts of the brain that control our mood, our motivation, and our fear, right? So we start reducing the amount of serotonin that's being created, right? And serotonin is what makes us happy. So as we start reducing that, that really affects our mood. So as you can imagine from the physiological issues that happen when we are experiencing stress, you can see that it's literally affecting every single function of your body. So now that's fine in the short term, like we need to get out of an immediate situation. But what happens when we experience chronic stress, right? We're experiencing stress all day long, every single day, which is what is happening right now, especially right now. So when that happens, right, that is what starts leading to all of these health conditions. It might lead to digestive issues, migraines, increases in blood pressure. It might lead to depression, anxiety, weight gain, mental fatigue, brain fog, insomnia, autoimmune conditions, you name it. And the way that it manifests for each of us is totally different, because these stress hormones literally attack every single part of our body. And whatever is the weakest point for you is how it's going to come out for you, right? So I want you to think about, how does stress affect you personally, right? How does it come out? How does that stress trigger, that response? How does that show up for you in your life? And I want you to recognize that some of the conditions, some of these symptoms that you may already be dealing with are actually caused from stress. Okay, so now let's talk about that a little bit more in terms of the cycle of sickness at work. When you don't feel well, you don't have good energy, right? Our energy is low. We have expensive claims. We've got a lot of time out of work because we have to go to the doctor's visits. We're not able to focus very well. We, aren't doing our best work, that's for sure. We're not as productive. We're not communicating as well, because when you don't feel good, you're not like 100%, there for your colleagues, for your clients, et cetera. You're not providing your highest levels of service, and you're certainly not providing your best ideas, that's for sure. And if all of this goes unchecked for too long, it eventually leads to burnout, right? And when that starts to happen, people get to a point where it's too late, and now they have no other choice but to check out, right? Like they have to completely stop whatever they're doing. And then when someone leaves, now that just creates an even more stressful situation where the rest of the team has to pick up the pieces from somebody else's workload and take it on themselves, which just creates an even more stressful scenario. And it just makes this cycle of sickness just keep going. So what we have to do is break that cycle. So stress relief is on the way now. So I'm going to give you some tools that we can use to change that scenario and break the cycle. Now, the first thing we have to do is build awareness about our own stress, right? So how it affects us personally. You may have already been thinking about how stress affects you. For me, it's always in my digestive system, right? Like I can just feel this like knot in my stomach when I start getting stressed. And, you might notice for yourself, like it's a headache for me, or maybe it's anxiety or it's irritability, right? So figuring out how it manifests for you is important. But in addition to that, I want you to figure out what your stress cues are. Okay, how do you know when you are stressed? Because let me tell you, your body is speaking to you all the time, and we just have to start listening to it. So this is what I want you to start paying attention to. When stress starts to affect you, notice if you do any of these things. When we have a tendency to get stressed, we go like this. We tighten in our chest, we're holding our breath, right? And what that's doing is literally cutting off the oxygen supply in our body, like in our brain, so we can't think clearly. If you find that you're holding your breath, and the way that you know it is if you start doing these loud sighs where you're like, if you're doing that, it's because you were holding your breath before that big sigh. So if you notice that you're taking big sighs, you're holding your breath. If you're clenching in your teeth, right? Or like you're tightening in your muscles in your neck and your shoulders, or if you're starting to get an upset stomach, you're feeling like this pounding in your head, if you're finding that you're starting to get irritable, angry, you're having a short temper, you're feeling overwhelmed, friends, that is a sign that your body is in the stress response in that moment. Those stress hormones are being secreted in your bloodstream and it's causing damage in your body. So when you notice those cues that your body is giving you, it is time to take a break, okay? And then what we need to do is figure out how do we shift our stress response so that we can go from being totally stressed and frazzled to cool and calm under pressure, right? So we want to completely shift this. So let me teach you a few different tools on how we can do this. Now, this first one is really interesting. This is an amazing practice for releasing the grip of anxiety. So if anybody is ever experiencing anxiety, your mind starts thinking about all of these, it's basically future tripping, right? You're thinking about all the stuff in the future and it's like creating this emotional response in the body. So one of the best ways to start to release anxiety is to distract your mind. Instead of thinking about whatever it is, you need to give your mind something else to think about. And that helps you release the tension and find peace, right? We find that by stilling the mind. And a great way to do this is by practicing tongue rolls. And I know this sounds really strange. This is a technique from Kundalini Yoga, and it's a fantastic way to release anxiety. So let's practice this together. So I invite you to just sit up tall in your chair and place both of your feet flat on the ground. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose and exhale it out. And I invite you to close your eyes. And what I want you to do is take your tongue and with your mouth closed, you're going to push your tongue towards the front of your mouth. So I want you to just brush your tongue against the backs of your front teeth. Okay, so you should feel your tongue pressing forward, just touching the backs of your front teeth. And then what we're going to do is for 30 seconds, we are going to rotate our tongue clockwise. Okay, so let's try that right now. So we're just going to rotate our tongue in little clockwise circles in our mouth, gently pressing the tongue forward, kind of brushing against the backs of the front of our teeth, going clockwise. And you can do this for 30 to 90 seconds. For our example today, we're just going to do 30 seconds, but when you do this on your own, you can definitely increase the amount of time. Now I want you to do counterclockwise rotations with your tongue going the other way. So we're just going to do 30 seconds, or you can count 30 rotations, 30 little circles with your tongue, brushing against the backs of the front of your teeth. And now I invite you to just sit in silence for 1 minute. And then when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. And If anybody wants to share how that made them feel, you're welcome to. Kind of a different, interesting, fun, kind of weird little practice, but it really kind of just brings you back into the body. And that's really what we want to do when we're experiencing anxiety. Because when we're in anxiety, like we're way out in the mind, right? And what we want to do is just bring ourselves just back grounded into the body. So that definitely is a way to do that. Yeah, relaxed and sleepy, definitely. Quietness, warmth, goose skin. Yeah, it's amazing. Like this literally takes 2 minutes to do, right? And it's just a great tool that you can put in your toolbox for any time that you're starting to feel that anxious feelings start to come up. Pay attention, notice it, and then just practice this. Yeah. Okay, so then the next thing I want to teach you, another tool for your toolbox, is about deep breathing. This one is a lot more common. You've probably heard about the power of taking deep breathing, and I'm going to explain it really quickly. Now, when you practice deep breathing, it actually instantly shuts down the stress response in the body. It's amazing. Now, why is the breath so important? Normally, we take very shallow, short little breaths during the day. We don't even think about breathing. It's just an automatic process that we do. Now, one of the most powerful things about the breath is that even though it's an automatic process, it's actually a process that we can also control, which is so fascinating, right? So it's automatic, but we can also take control of it. Now, normally, as I mentioned, we take shallow little breaths where we're only using the top third of our lung capacity throughout the day when we breathe. But when we take a full deep breath, which looks like this.
Why? How bad are his grades?
Then what actually happens is that we are bringing 70% more oxygen into the body. 70%. Now, oxygen plays the role of helping your blood to pump throughout the body, right? It allows your blood to circulate faster. So as we bring more oxygen into the body, it means that your heart doesn't have to pump as hard to pump the blood. So breathing deeply automatically starts to slow down the heart rate. It starts to automatically lower the blood pressure. And it instantly takes us out of that stress response into the calming response in the body. And it happens very, very quickly. So I want you to learn how to use your breath as a tool because it is incredibly powerful. So let's practice this together. Now, again, we're going to sit in our chairs with both feet flat on the ground. I invite you to sit up tall. We're going to close our eyes and we're going to first take a deep breath in through the nose and we're going to sigh it out of our mouth. And when we sigh it out of our mouth, I want you to contract your belly at the end. So like tighten up your core and we're going to exhale kind of forcefully out of our mouth for this first time. Okay, so let's try this together. Take a slow deep breath in through the nose. Really fill up your lungs all the way. Allow the belly to expand out, the chest to rise. And exhale forcefully out of your mouth. And tighten up your core. That's going to reset our diaphragm. Let's do that one more time. Deep breath in through the nose. Fill up the lungs and exhale out the mouth. Now I invite you to close your mouth and we're just going to breathe in and out of the nose. Okay. And we're going to try to slow the breath down as much as we can. All right. So let's take a slow, deep breath in, filling up the belly, allowing the chest to rise, holding the breath for a moment, and then slowly exhaling out of the nose. As we exhale out, you feel the chest start to fall and slightly contract your belly at the end. Breathing in deeply through the nose. Holding the breath at the top. Slowly exhaling it out. Breathing in. Filling the lungs up all the way. Feeling the ribs expand. Hold the breath and slowly exhale out. And now we're going to extend the breath for a count of 5, and I'm going to keep the count. So exhale everything out and take a slow breath in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. And exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. And exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. And exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And just do one more round on your own. And then when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. So how does that feel? If you could think of one word that kind of sums up how you feel right now, you can throw that into the chat box. I know every time that I practice deep breathing, it just instantly leaves me feeling this like, this like calm, centered, kind of grounded feeling, right? It's so powerful. It only takes 3 deep breaths to shut down the stress response in the body. That's it, literally 3 deep breaths and you're there. Yes, and somebody mentioned the Navy SEALs square. Yes, the box breathing is very, very powerful. And box breathing is where you're going to inhale for like, maybe 5 counts, hold for 5, exhale for 5, hold for 5, inhale for 5, hold, exhale for 5, and hold. Yeah, it's amazing. There's so many different breathing techniques out there, but it leaves you feeling so calm and peaceful. So how can we use this in our lives? So anytime that you're about to go into a big presentation or have a meeting with somebody, anytime that you're feeling just like a little unsettled, right? A little uneasy, before you do it, just close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. What this is going to do is just going to center you. It's going to calm you. It's going to leave you feeling more focused, right? You're also flooding your brain with more oxygen. So that allows you to think more clearly. It'll help you to make better decisions. So fantastic thing to do before you have to go and present in any way, shape, or form. Let's say you get that phone call from that annoying person and you're like, oh, you can just say, can you hold on a second? Put the phone down for a moment. Just take a few quick deep breaths and then resume your phone call. You can do it in the car while you're driving. If somebody cuts you off and you feel your blood starting to boil, take your deep breaths. Obviously, eyes open in that situation, but you can just take your deep breaths. Your breath follows you wherever you go. In yoga, we call the breath our life force, our prana. And that's because we literally can't live without more than a few moments without our breath. We enter this world with our first breath, and we exit this world with our final breath. Your breath is literally the most important aspect of your life. And if you can start practicing deep breathing, it will have a profound effect, not only on your health, but on your mental and emotional well-being as well. Okay, so now another practice I want to share with you, and this is kind of like I use deep breathing and gratitude as my 1-2 punch. Gratitude, appreciation is another amazing way to instantly alleviate this feeling of stress. When we are stressed, right, we have a tendency to be experiencing these very low vibration energy emotions, right? So like anger, frustration, worry, doubt, fear, all of those are emotions that leave us feeling really drained, that leave us feeling really low energy, right? And that's what it does. Now, when we are in a state of appreciation, when we're thinking of something that we're grateful for, what that does is it connects us to joy, right? It connects us to joy, it connects us to love, it connects us to emotions that feel good, emotions that are very uplifting to the energy. They're higher frequency emotions. And what that does is it can help to just to lift us back up out of that lower feeling that we have been experiencing. So it's kind of a mindset hack that you can use. And also, when you are in a stress response, when you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed and angry and fearful and all of that, you're in a fixed mindset where you're kind of stuck and it's hard to see out of that. You're very closed off. And when we are in a state of appreciation, that instantly opens us to be in a growth mindset. where now we are open to receive inspiration, creativity, more innovative ideas, etc. So it's an amazing practice to shift yourself into a growth mindset, but also to just shut off the stress response. So let's practice a little gratitude together. I'm going to lead you through a very quick gratitude meditation. So I invite you to put your feet on the ground again. We're going to sit up tall in our chair. I invite you to close your eyes, take a deep breath in through the nose, and slowly exhale it out. And I invite you to, if anybody's not muted, first, let's please all just mute our phones. Thank you. And just take another last breath in and exhale it out. And then I invite you to just place your hands over your heart. Just place your hands over your heart with your eyes closed. And I invite you to think of, what are the most important things in your life that you're grateful for? Who are the people in your life that you are most grateful for? Or the places that you're grateful for, or the things that you're most grateful for? It's different for all of us. It might be your friends or your family. Maybe it's your dog. Maybe it's your home or your warm bed. Maybe it's your opportunities that you have or your education. Whatever it is, I want you to connect for a moment to what you are most grateful for in your life. And as you identify, who you're so grateful for, the places or the things or these amazing people, I invite you to start thinking of the reasons why. Why are you grateful for them? What is it about them that makes you feel so good, so lucky, so happy, so blessed? What is it about them that makes you feel so loved? Right? And as you start thinking and connecting to all the reasons why you're grateful, just bring your awareness into your heart center and just say the words, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for these amazing people or places or things in my life that bring me joy, that make me feel connected and special and loved. Thank you. And just allow this warm, loving feeling of gratitude to just well up in your heart. And just sit in that feeling for a moment. Sit in that amazing feeling of how lucky and blessed you are to have these things or people or places in your life. Whatever it is that makes you feel good, that makes you feel alive, connected, full of love. And just feel that feeling. Allow it to wash over your whole body like this little healing energy until it almost just puts a smile on your face. And then let's take a deep breath in and breathe that feeling into your heart. Slowly exhale it out. You can release your hands into your lap. And you can gently open your eyes. Now, I don't know about you, but anytime I practice gratitude, I just feel so good. I can't help but smile. It just reminds me of what's really important in my life. And it's so interesting. It's like it makes you realize that whatever I was worrying about before just isn't even important. It doesn't even really matter compared to the things that truly are most important in your life. It's just so uplifting. So if you want to share in the chat box how you feel after having practiced that gratitude, that would be amazing. I know for myself, I just feel happy and loved. So one thing that you can do when you're feeling stressed, when you're paying attention to those cues in your body and you notice that you're stressed, is just to stop, just to stop whatever you're doing, take that break. You can practice the tongue rolls, you can practice some deep breathing, and just round it all out by just taking a minute to think about what you are most grateful for in your life. And it just completely shifts things around. When you are connected to appreciation and gratitude, all of the negative thoughts that you were thinking before melt away into the background without even trying. And that's the beauty of it. And sometimes that feeling will last for a few moments, sometimes a few minutes, but the more you deliberately, practice appreciation in your day, the easier it is for you to stay in that higher emotional way of being and thinking, right? And it leaves you feeling good. And because it moves you into a growth mindset that leaves you being more inspired and creative, practicing gratitude before you work on a big project is really powerful. So if you need to write a proposal, if you're working on something that requires a lot of creativity from you, or you really need to be accessing your highest level of thinking, before you even start your project, just close your eyes and think of what you are grateful for. Connect to that feeling, connect to that emotion of like feeling really happy and loved and successful and just blessed and all of that. And what that's going to do is it's going to open up your mind to be able to receive that inspiration. So that's just another little tip there. So really quickly, we are going to do a quick breakout session. We're going to do this for 5 minutes, and we're going to split into groups of 3, which means that you have about a minute and a half to share what one of your top methods is for handling stress right now. Okay, so let's break out into these breakout sessions. We're going to do 5 minutes, and we're going to give you a 1-minute warning. And then you guys can all share with each other, what do you do to handle stress? It's always fun to hear what other people are doing and maybe see if you get a really cool idea. So we're going to do that. And I think, Tony, you're going to take care of those, correct?
Yeah, I'm going to open.
All right, we're back. Yay. All right. So did anybody learn anything interesting, kind of different, something that maybe you hadn't thought about doing before that you want to share? We talked a lot about exercise in our little group.
Yeah, we also spoke about exercise.
Well, a common one was going to walk up the mountain to relieve stress.
Yes.
It's literally in my backyard here, so that's kind of easy.
I love that. That's so great. Being in nature is amazing, right? It just has such a powerful way of like calming the nervous system and just inspiring us, clearing the head, all of that. That's fantastic. Okay, cool. Do we have everybody back?
Well, everybody should be back.
Okay, cool. And I'm gonna like go back and share my screen again. Okay, can you all see my screen? Perfect. So now I kind of want to move on to talk a little bit about resiliency, how to become more resilient. We're all experiencing unprecedented changes to the way that we live and work right now because of the global health pandemic. And we're under more pressure now than we ever have been in our lives. So in addition to stress reduction tools, it's also really important to learn how to shift your mindset to become more resilient in the face of challenges. So I want to share my personal story of resilience with you because I feel like you'll be able to connect with that and hopefully it'll be inspiring for you. So the last decade of my life I've gone through a lot. I've been through a lot of challenges, just like many of you have. And I want to share what these struggles have been with you, along with the mindset that allowed me to be resilient and stay positive as I worked my way through them. Because no matter what kind of challenges you're facing in your life, you can use the same mindset to be resilient also. So 12 years ago, my amazing dad got cancer, which I mentioned to you earlier, and I watched him really suffer for 7 long years before I finally lost him in 2015. He was only 64. Now, I already told you how just going through that experience and watching that suffering, made me sick. Like all of the stress from that made me sick. And I developed, an autoimmune condition called ulcerative colitis. And that has plagued me on and off for the last 10 years. And, when I would notice that anytime I was feeling particularly stressed, it would kind of flare back up on me, right? Very, very challenging. And then I finally healed myself from it once and for all in 2019. So this picture right here that you see, my dad took this picture of me in 2015. I was actually pregnant at the time with my first son when he took this picture. And I had no idea at that time that just 4 months later, I would wind up having these major pregnancy complications that would require me to have an emergency C-section to save my baby's life. And I also would have no idea that at the time, that 1 week into my baby's NICU stay at the hospital, I'd find out that my dad only had 3 months left to live. And so, as you can imagine, that was like, to call it a hard time was like an understatement for me, you know. And in addition to that, I've had a lot of loss in addition to that too. So I lost my father-in-law to dementia. I lost my cousin to cancer, my grandma to a heart attack, my grandfather to pneumonia, and I lost 3 pregnancies also. So I've been through a lot in these last several years. And after each pregnancy I had, that autoimmune condition flared up on me every single time. So I was going through, you know, loss and illness and trying to raise a family and trying to, you know, grow a business all at the same time, which is a lot, right? It's a lot. And the truth is that we all go through a lot, right? Your story might look a little different from mine, but, you know, we can all relate to like challenges, right? Now, when my daughter was born 2 years ago, the health condition I had just flared up out of control and would not respond to any of the traditional medications. And the doctors basically told me they had no other options for me other than to get on some biological drugs that I would have to be on for the rest of my life that would ruin my immune system. And that just wasn't an option for me. So I wound up embarking on a remarkable healing journey that took me to over 13 different healers. I spent 2019 extremely ill. Like I was very, very sick. I got down to 105 pounds. And this was while trying to take care of a newborn baby and a rambunctious 4-year-old boy and a growing business. And I don't know if you've known anyone who's had ulcerative colitis, but it's pretty debilitating, right? Now, through it all, I never let any of it take me down. I made the choice to keep moving forward in my life and working towards my dreams. Because it's a choice. My mindset was everything. You see, in that same very difficult time, I also married the man of my dreams. We bought a beautiful home together that we remodeled. I had 2 amazing children that bring me joy every single day. I launched a successful corporate wellness company where I got to make a positive impact in people's lives every single day. In fact, in the middle of that immensely challenging year of 2019, that's when Balance by Nature was first recognized as a top 10 employee wellness company in the United States. And, you know, that was around the same time that I started working with an Ayurvedic doctor, an energy healer, a light healer, a medical intuitive doctor, and finally a Chinese divine healer who ultimately healed my body, soul, and spirit. And I witnessed the miracles that are hard to put into words. But I'm happy to say that I rid myself of that horrible condition and doing something the doctor said couldn't be done, because I knew that I could heal my body. I knew it as my truth that I could, because I never accepted the limitations that the doctors were trying to put on me, right? Whenever I set my mind to something, I don't let anything stop me from that. So I came into 2020 feeling healthier, stronger than I had felt in years. I was so excited about what 2020 would bring, right? And I literally had no idea what was in store. As soon as COVID hit, every single one of my corporate clients, all of them, called me to cancel all of their programs in a 24-hour period. Our model used to be doing on-site wellness, where I have a big team of employees and they would go on site to our clients' offices to do different fitness classes and stress reduction programs and, you know, cooking demos and all sorts of things like that. And it was all at the office. Well, obviously, as soon as employees all got sent home, they canceled it all. So literally my whole company came to a screeching halt overnight. And, you know, instead of panicking about it, I just sat with it and I said, okay, like, why is this happening now? Like, what's the message I'm supposed to receive? So instead of panicking, I just meditated on it. And I asked myself, what is the message I'm supposed to receive right now? What is the message I'm supposed to receive right now? Because you see, my dreams are clear. My vision has never been clearer. I knew exactly what path I was on, the impact I wanted to make, where I wanted to go with my goals and what I wanted to hit, right? So I was looking at this, I was choosing to see this as a roadblock, right? So I was like, okay, why is this happening now? Like, what am I meant to do? And literally, I just sat with the question, and this is a powerful practice. You can always just sit, ask yourself a question. What am I meant to receive right now? What's the message? What's the message? Put it out there and then move on. Take a deep breath and move on. Come back to it the next day, ask the question again and again, and move on. If you do it every day, I promise the answers flow to you, no matter what the burning question is you have. Now, in my situation, one of my clients called me the very next day and said, oh, hey, those chair yoga videos that we were doing last year, maybe we could do more of those. And it was like, boom, instantaneously, that inspiration came to me and I was like, go online, go online. So I actually was very quick to pivot. I took my whole business online in 30 days. I mean, it was crazy to figure out all the technology and all of the rest, but we did it and we started live streaming everything. And in the end, it turned into a huge blessing for us because it allowed us to expand our offerings. It allowed me to expand my network of wellness providers. Now I could hire people anywhere. They didn't have to be local to where my client was, where their office was. I was able to hire people in other countries to do, different jobs and opportunities for my clients. Like, it was amazing. And then all of a sudden my market reach expanded as well, because now I could reach out to businesses anywhere. So in the end, it turned into a huge blessing because I didn't resist it. I surrendered to it. Like, okay, if this is what it is, just what is the direction that I'm supposed to go? And then in the midst of all of that, we started winning all these amazing awards. All these awards started coming in and, people were hearing about it. Our business started growing and it was incredible. So I've always had really big dreams and I never let anything stop me from achieving them, no matter what was happening in my life. And I've experienced a lot of fear and humiliation and pain and loss and sadness and grief and a whole lot of stress and frustration. But I also healed my body naturally and I found things to smile about every single day. My mindset always propelled me forward no matter what was happening in my life. And I've done a lot of that inner work along the journey to really understand, who I am and to trust that whatever gets thrown my way is simply a learning obstacle for me to move around on my path to accomplishing my goals. I choose to find the best in every situation that comes my way, and that choice sets me free. And a big part of it is letting go of the things that are outside of your control. We can't control what's happening around us. All we can control is how we're going to respond to it and how we are going to move forward. So we always have a choice. We can either struggle in pain or we can surrender to what is. So often in our lives, we expend so much mental energy struggling against the things that we don't like and that we don't want. We get fixated on the problem and we build up so much tension and resistance against the problem, right? Something happened in your life and you're like, oh, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. And in all of that mental energy that you're spending thinking about it, hating it, feeling that frustration about whatever the situation is, it literally turns it into this giant boulder that you carry around like a burden. Right? That you carry around like a burden. And when that happens, it's really easy to fall into this downward spiral, into the depths of despair, and to turn into that victim, right? To fall into that victim mentality of why me? Why is that happening to me? But what does that ever do for us? When you become a victim, you give up and you forget the immense power that you have within you. Like, when we fall into that mindset, life is happening to us rather than for us. Victim mentality is literally the lowest vibration and emotion there is. Nothing positive or productive ever comes when we are in that mindset, ever. So instead, we can actually experience peace through acceptance. You don't have to like the situation that's in front of you. But fighting against it doesn't do you any good. Whether you like it or not, that's the reality that you're dealing with. So once that you can accept, okay, I don't like this situation, but this is my reality. Okay, like I accept that this is my reality. Now you can release that resistance and you can experience peace. And what that does is that it gives you freedom. It gives you freedom from the struggle. Letting go of that mental struggle against what you don't want frees up so much mental energy so that you can now receive inspiration and solutions to improve your life and move forward in a positive way. So once we stop fixating on the problem, we release ourselves from the chains that have been holding us back and keeping us stuck. So the more we focus on the issue and the problem, right, that keeps us stuck. That keeps us in that state of suffering. So as soon as you can stop focusing on the problem and just accept that this is what you have going on in your life, okay, I accept it. Now I'm going to invite like solutions into my life. It changes everything. And one of the most important, most valuable things that I can share with you is to know that an opportunity exists within every single challenge that you ever face. You simply have to look for it. So no matter what life throws your way, know that there's always something that you can learn. There's always something that you can take away from that situation. So in my example, I know is my truth that I was meant to go through all the suffering that I went through so that I could help other people in a bigger way. My experiences have allowed me to connect with other people in a deeper level, right? Even if the challenges that I have experienced are different, we can all relate to the suffering, right? The illness and the grief that I experienced were catalysts that drove me forward. I learned so much about myself in the process and how important it is to approach things with balance, ease, and grace. And I've been able to share that in my teachings, right? All of these amazing opportunities that have come to me would never have been possible if I hadn't gone through those experiences and trusted my path, right? So no matter what is coming your way, no matter what challenge is presenting itself to you, just look for that opportunity because it is there. And while you're on the journey, it's really important to focus on what is going well in your life while you're experiencing these challenges, because there's always beautiful things happening all around you. For example, if you're sick or if you're dealing with an injury, it's just natural to be so fixated on the problem, right? That you forget, oh my gosh, the rest of my body is functioning perfectly. So instead of just focusing on whatever the problem is, I want you to be grateful that your two legs work and get to carry you through your life, or that your two eyes get to see and take things in, that your heart is just pumping without you telling it to, right? Your body is a miracle. And we have this tendency to only focus on what's not working. And no matter what the kind of challenge is that's in front of you, when we just see that, it's hard to see outside of it. That if instead of putting so much of your focus and so much of your energy on the problem, and instead you can start looking at everything else around you and just being grateful for the good things that are happening in your life, you will be amazed. You will be amazed at the impact just that alone can have on your mindset and getting you through this issue, this situation with so much more ease. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. You have to go through the darkness to get through the light. And when you do, it feels amazing. So how did I do it? How did I navigate my way through those challenges in a positive way? So let me share with you some really powerful questions that you can ask yourself, because the answers are all within us if we simply just quiet our minds and ask ourselves the right question. So anytime you're faced with a big challenge in your life, take the time to really sit with it and get curious about it. Close your eyes and ask yourself, why is this coming up right now? Why is it coming up right now? What's the message that I'm meant to receive? And that's huge, right? There's always a message waiting for you if you look for it. If you have a clear vision about where you want to go, then everything in front of you is merely a roadblock to get there. You may have thought that your path was from here to here and it was a straight line, But in reality, you know, you can still get there, but you just kind of have to forge a new path. Or maybe it's even going to take you somewhere better than where you thought you were going to go, right? Which is really, really powerful. So ask yourself, what can you learn from this situation? How can you grow? How can you make yourself better for having experienced this? So the key is to really sit with these questions and ask yourself these questions with an intention of wanting the answer. And just come back to it every day. Make that your practice. Sit with it. If something's happening in your life, sit and ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? Just put them out there. If nothing comes to you, that's okay. Take a deep breath, let it go, move on with your day. This practice can take a minute. But if you do it again tomorrow, and you do it again the next day, and you do it again the next day, I promise you, in a matter of days or weeks, all of the answers are going to start flowing to you. You will have these moments of inspiration where an idea just comes, or you're having a conversation with someone that just says something that resonates with you, right? It's just so powerful. So if you do that, if you look at all of your challenges as learning opportunities, you'll always be moving forward in a positive way in your life. This allows you to learn from your mistakes so that you can always make yourself better. And that's really the goal. And when you learn from the situation, that is what prevents us from making the same mistake again and again and again, right? When the same thing keeps coming up in your life, it's coming up for a reason. It's because you haven't learned the lesson from it yet. So if you ever notice that there's something that just keeps popping up, it's because you are meant to learn something from that. So get curious about it. Right? Get curious about it so that you can start moving forward, learn from those mistakes. This is about choosing to be better today than you were yesterday and making yourself better tomorrow than you were today. So it's about making the choice to always be the very best version of yourself that you can be. This is how you evolve as a person. This alone brings so much meaning to your life. Okay. So now what I want to do is shift gears a little bit. And I want to share with you my blueprint for a balanced life. So this is the framework that I use in my own life to create balance. And I hope that something in here inspires you. So as I go through this, and there's 12 little steps in here, I want you to see what resonates with you. And I want you to just make a commitment to yourself to pick one thing, one of these suggestions to try, to implement, and see what kind of an impact that can have on your life. So the first thing is to create a positive morning ritual. Now, a positive morning ritual is a fantastic way to start off your day. It's about starting your day off in the right way. Now, the way that you feel in the morning sets the tone for your entire day, which in turn sets the tone for your whole life. So be conscious about how you want to start your day and how you want to feel in the morning. Do something for your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul. So often people wake up in the morning and they get on their phone. This is something I don't want you to do, because these phones right here, nothing good is on here, right? It's only going to set you off in the stress response. So the last thing I want you to do is wake up in the morning and check your phone. Do not do that. If that means you need to put your phone in another room and get a real alarm clock, then please do that. But when you check your phone, it's just you're going to be bombarded with negative things or other people vying for your attention. And you know what? The morning should be yours. The morning should be yours. So what I want you to get inspired to do is give yourself 15 minutes of the morning just for you. If that means you have to wake up 15 minutes earlier, then do that. But just go to bed 15 minutes earlier too. But do something that fills your cup, that raises your energy, that makes you feel good. Exercise is obviously excellent for the body. So waking up and doing some exercise, some kind of movement is fantastic. Maybe it's even just going for a walk. Deep breathing that we practice together, or meditation, does wonders for the mind. To just feel that peace, that sense of peace and calmness first thing in the morning is an amazing way to start out your day. Another thing you could do is write down 5 things you're grateful for. I have like a little notebook that I keep by my bedside. And every morning I write down, as soon as I wake up, 5 things I'm grateful for. And it could be just, thank you for this warm bed I get to sleep in. Thank you for the roof over my head. Thank you for the clean hot water that comes out of my shower. I mean, that's a miracle. There are people all over this world that don't have that, right? So many things that we just don't think about. But when you're grateful, right, it just drops you into your heart center, filling you with appreciation. It just sets your day in a really positive way. You know, just even stepping outside and listening to the birds chirping and singing, it calms our spirit. It sings to our soul, right? So maybe you just sit outside and savor your cup of coffee. Maybe that's what your morning routine is. But really savor it, smell it, and just enjoy the flavor of it, and just allow yourself to feel delight from it. The key here is to just commit to doing something that's for you, because when you give to yourself first, that allows you to give to others, whether that's your children, whether that's your spouse, your partner, your colleagues, your work, etc., without feeling depleted, right? Give yourself first. Fill up your cup first. That is going to allow you to be the best version of yourself for the day. Okay. So if you get nothing else than just this out of our entire time together, what I would love for you to do is just think for a minute about how you would want a morning routine to look like for yourself. What is it that you would want to do for you? You know, it's got to resonate with you. So I want you to think that through. And if 15 minutes is too long, then do 5 minutes. But just come up with something that's going to make you feel good for 5 minutes. Okay, the second thing that I love to do is to start my day with positive affirmations. This helps to focus my mind on what I want to create in my life and what I want to invite in. I am personally like writing my affirmations down. Sometimes like I have in my shower, like I have glass, and when the steam like fills up, I actually will just write it in the steam in the shower. But you can put them on little notes, put them somewhere where you'll see it. You can put like a little Post-it note on your bathroom mirror, on your desk, like on the refrigerator door, anywhere where you're going to see it. And the idea is when you have an affirmation that it's something that feels good to you, that you want to invite more of into your life. Sometimes we can use affirmations as a way to kind of rewrite our mental story of what we want to really be focusing our mental energy on, right? So the more ways that you can interact with that affirmation, the better. So thinking about it is one way, writing it is another way, reading it is another way, saying it out loud is another way, just feeling it in your heart is another way. Try to use as many of your senses as possible to really experience that affirmation. I'm going to share some of my favorites with you. But one of the things that I like to do with my affirmations, the ones that I really am resonating with, is I will repeat them about 20 times in a row. I will just close my eyes and feel it in my heart, and I'll repeat it again and again and again and again and again. And that's my practice. And I do it for 60 seconds, you know? So it was like my 1 minute practice, and it leaves me feeling so good. So here are my favorites. If any of these resonate with you, feel free to write them down. I've shared these with a lot of people. This one is my all-time favorite. All good things flow to me easily. Doesn't it just feel good to say that? All good things flow to me easily, easily. And the key here is about ease. This came to me at a point in my life where everything felt hard, and like a challenge, and I was just working too hard, and it just like, I don't know, I just needed ease. And one day it just, boom, it just came to me. All good things flow to me easily. I'm like, yes, let's just invite more ease into my life. Now you can replace all good things with anything you want. So it could be clients flow to me easily, you know, or whatever it is, right? The perfect partner flows to me easily. The perfect employee flows to me easily, whatever it is, anything, just that it flows to you with ease. The next one, I love this one too. It is good to feel good. It is good to feel good. Yes, it is. It is good to feel good, to uplift your energy. I love that one. Here's another one that I love too. Money flows to me easily, freely, and from everywhere. Money flows to me easily, freely, and from everywhere. I will repeat this 20 times in the shower in the morning. Money flows to me easily, freely, and from everywhere. And you know what's crazy is as soon as I start focusing on these again, they all start coming true. I mean, it's really wild how that starts to happen. And I've noticed it in my life. So many people I've shared these with have noticed that in their lives too. Sometimes it's just as simple as, you know, setting that intention. Today is going to be an amazing day. Today is going to be an amazing day. You know, whatever you want. And then this last one I want to share with you, I used a lot on my healing journey. You know, I realized like so much of my mental energy was focusing on being sick. So instead, I feel healthy and strong in my body. I feel healthy and strong in my body. You know, wiring yourself to say how you want to feel. Now, the next thing is starting your day on purpose. Setting intentions is so powerful because it gives you a direction to point yourselves in. So here are some powerful questions you can ask yourself in the morning about how you want to show up today. You know, who do I want to be today? Right? What version of yourself do you want to show up as today? You know, is it as the good parent, the good partner, the good spouse, you know, the good whatever? You know, who do you want to be today? How do I want to feel today? That's one of my favorite questions to ask myself in the morning. How do I want to feel today? It's setting that intention of how I want to experience my day. What do I want to give today? And what do I want to receive today? These are all really powerful questions, right? It just sets that tone. It just gets you thinking about the impact that you want to have in your day and the experience that you truly want to have. This is about living your life on purpose. Now, another thing that I like to ask myself is, you know, what are the 3 things that I want to accomplish today personally and professionally? So I love asking myself those 3 questions in the morning. And in my mind, there should only be 3 things on your work to-do list on any given day so that you can end your day feeling accomplished. You know, if you work off of like this long to-do list that is never ending, you're going to finish your day always feeling behind, like you can never catch up, like you're just drowning. And that is terrible for your mindset. So what I like to do is on Monday, or I will have like my whole long to-do list of everything that needs to get done for the week. But then for each day, I only pick 3 things to focus on. So I'll pick 3 tasks or 3 projects from that list and say, okay, today, these are the 3 things I'm going to work on. And guess what? Tomorrow, you can pick 3 more things. And the day after, you can pick 3 more things, etc. But if I knock those 3 things out, that's going to allow me to finish my day feeling accomplished, like I got something done that needed to get done, right? And then think through, like, how long is it going to take to complete each of those projects? So if I pick those 3 things, maybe one thing is going to take an hour, maybe another thing is 2 hours, maybe another thing is 30 minutes. So then what you can do is time block to be more productive. I love time blocking. So look at your calendar for the day when you have your meetings and find those blocks of time in between and say, okay, if I've got an hour and a half right here in between these calls, which task do I have that I can block in there for that hour and a half? Boom, and put that in there. Now, the key is that when you block that time off for that one project, only work on that one project. Okay, that means you want to be solely focused just on that so that you can attain that deep concentration and start, you know, receiving that higher level of thinking and inspiration. When you are focused on too many things at the same time and you're trying to multitask, it splits your focus in so many directions that you can never do your best work. So one great thing that you can do is to turn off your email, turn off your Slack, turn off your phone, just get rid of all the distractions around you. Just focus on one thing at a time. If you do that, you'll knock things out so much faster and you will be so much more productive. Now, this next step is so powerful, and I love doing this. Visualize your success in every single thing that you're going to do for your day. So if you have a big meeting that you need to attend or a difficult conversation you have to have with somebody, take some time before you do it to visualize what your ideal outcome is. So if I'm going to go into this presentation and I'm pitching for a new client, I'm going to think like, okay, before I even go into it, I'm going to imagine having this conversation with somebody. I'm going to imagine myself doing an amazing job, presenting really well, you know, connecting to my audience, inspiring them, getting them excited about what I'm doing, having them say, yes, yes, I want to work with you, you know, and it turning into an amazing collaboration. I take the time to visualize that ahead of time. You know, if I'm going to have a difficult conversation with someone, then I'll think through, okay, like, what are all the points I want to make sure that I get across? And I'll imagine myself saying them, and then I'll think to myself, well, how do I want them to respond to that? Like, what is the ideal outcome that I want? What do I want them saying back to me? And how do I want this to go? When you take the time to actually visualize how you want it to go, you will be shocked how often things actually worked out the way that you visualized it. It's amazing. Because why concern yourself with the worst case outcome? Why even bother spending even a moment of time considering like, oh, they're going to hate it and da, 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 da. Forget that. Let's not attract that into our lives. Instead, I want you to expect the best case outcome. Okay, not even just think about it. Expect it's going to go that way, that it is going to be worked out, that it's going to work out that way. And you'll be shocked how often it actually happens. It's so powerful. So do that. The next step, of course, is to practice deep breathing. We talked about that already. Use your breath as your tool definitely throughout your day. Whenever you're feeling stressed, stop what you're doing. Just take a few deep breaths and refocus, recenter yourself. You can do it before a meeting. You can do it when you're feeling stressed. Just use your breath as your tool. Another thing is to take movement breaks. Our bodies aren't designed to be stuck in these chairs all day. So let's make sure to get up and move. So important. And it might mean just getting up to get a glass of water. It might mean standing up to take a phone call standing, going for a bike ride, doing some exercise. You can do like a walking meeting where instead of like plopping down in front of Zoom to have a conversation with someone, you say, hey, you know what? Let's just walk outside for like 15 minutes. You'll walk around the block, I'll walk around the block, and let's just talk on the phone. We can both get a little bit of exercise and, kind of have the same conversation so that you can get that movement into your day and still make it productive time. So you can do that too. Another thing that I love to practice is mindful eating. So often we're just like shoveling food into our mouths without even thinking about it, right? Or we're eating in front of our desk all the time for lunch. So even if it's just once a week, if you could just get up and move away from your desk, move away from the screens, and just enjoy a mindful meal, that can have a huge impact on, the relationship that you have with food and your body. If you can eat a meal with your eyes closed, I don't know if any of you have tried that. It's so powerful. When you close your eyes, you can really notice the textures of the food in your mouth. You can really taste your food. It tastes so much better. You really start connecting more to that feeling of being, satisfied. And you'll find that you'll actually eat less. You'll enjoy your food even more. It's amazing. So maybe the next meal that you do, try taking a few bites and close your eyes and notice the difference in the experience that you have when your eyes are closed, that you can just tap into that a little bit more. So give yourself that gift, of having a meal without these distractions, without these screens. We're just in front of it for too long every single day. And make sure you schedule joy into your daily life. So ask yourself what brings you joy, what makes you happy. And I want you to schedule at least one thing into your day that makes you smile. Schedule one thing into your day that makes you smile. Give yourself 20 minutes for something fun, whatever that looks like for you. I started actually measuring my success in how much fun I have every day. And I bring that intention into my day every day, that I want whatever I do to be fun. I want my interactions with other people to be fun. I want to have fun every single day. So that's the intention that I bring. And then give yourself the gift of a digital detox. So much scrolling. We spend so much time in front of our laptops, the TV, and certainly the phone, every single day. So maybe give yourself a limit about how much time you really want to be spending on your phone. Ask yourself, how much time do you want to spend on your phone? An hour, less, more? Your phone actually has a setting where you can limit, add a time limit for your day. So you should use it. If you've never looked at your usage on your phone, you should. You'll find it in your settings, and you might be surprised to see how much time you're actually spending scrolling on your phone, that you could be kind of using that time for something else. Your mental health will definitely thank you for it. So yeah, don't be afraid to use those time limits and limit your news intake, because it's just so intense, right? And don't be afraid to unfriend, unfollow, unlike people. If your social media feed, you open it up and it's stressful, just, take a step away from it. This is about protecting your mental health, right? So important. It's never been more important. And in this time of isolation, it's really, really important to foster meaningful connections with people. So think of this time as an opportunity to connect with your bubble in a deeper way, but also, with other people in your lives. Prioritize having video happy hours with your friends, with your family, with your colleagues too. Like it's so, we're not having time to connect with each other in the same way that we used to before. When we were in the office together, seeing each other all the time, we had those opportunities to ask each other, hey, how are your kids? Or how was this? How was vacation? Blah, blah, blah. And we're missing out on those little moments of connection. So give yourself those opportunities to just connect with someone and not talk about work, and just talk about something else in life and ask yourself some powerful questions. I love asking thought-provoking questions. So maybe the next time you do a chat, with networking group or with your colleagues or, with any type of business partner, friends, family, whatever, ask some really cool thought-provoking questions. Something profound always comes up. One of my favorite ones to do is to ask, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received? Something amazing always comes out of that. When you ask that question to somebody, you just receive like wisdom, and it's really, really powerful. You can ask what's one moment that changed your life? What's your greatest accomplishment? Or just ask somebody, what support do you need right now? Everybody's going through a lot. And if there's a way that we can help each other, that's going to be really, really powerful and really important. And then the last thing is to create a positive evening ritual for yourself. So just like we created, an intentional way of starting our day, we want to create an intentional way of ending our day. So give yourself the gift of 15 minutes just for you, right? So what are you going to do to wind down? When you are looking at your computer or working or your phone or even the TV, that's very active, right? Those are very active like states in our mind. And that leaves our mind racing. It makes it harder for us to fall asleep, right? And so what you can do is just give yourself these last 15 minutes something for you. Maybe it's practicing gratitude. Maybe it's taking a bath, doing some exercise, doing some, relaxing yoga. Maybe it's writing some ideas down. Maybe you take up a meditation practice. Maybe it's reading, a book that you like. Maybe it's talking to your partner and just talking about your dreams, talking about your goals, with each other. And what kinds of fun things that you want to focus on, right? What are the things that you have on your bucket list that you want to accomplish in your life? Whatever it is, just do something that is for you. One thing that I love to do, the last thing before my head hits the pillow, is I will think through all the things that happen in my day, and I will say thank you for the most important things that happen. And when I had a good day, it's easy. When I had a bad day, it's a lot more challenging to come up with the things that happened well. Sometimes the best thing was the yummy sandwich I had for lunch, but whatever it is, when you force yourself to think of it, it's just really, really powerful. So anyway, that's really what I wanted to share with you guys today. And just remember that investing in yourself is the best investment that you can ever make. Now, I actually have a little gift that I want to give you all. I just actually launched a new program called Finding Balance, which shares a lot of inspiring content for mental health, emotional resiliency, growth mindset, and personal transformation. It's normally $18 a month, but I'm going to gift each of you a free 6-month membership to this program. So I think Tony has the link for this, which he can drop into the chat box, but we can also email it to you all afterwards. But if you click on this link, you can put in the discount code BALANCE at the bottom, and then it'll make the first 6 months, it'll be free, and you can cancel anytime that you want to. But I just wanted to give that as a gift to you. Every single month has a different theme, from self-care practices, breaking through fear, building resiliency, embracing change, growth mindset, etc. There's always a workshop, some guided meditation, some movement break videos, some daily practices, some different wellness resources, self-reflection questions to ask yourself, affirmations, etc. So that is my gift to you. And I just want to thank you all so much for having me today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. My contact information's here. I'm always happy to be a resource to any of you. So definitely feel free to connect with me at any time if you have questions or anything at all. So I'm just going to stop share this. And if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Or if any of you want to share maybe like what was your number one takeaway from today, I would love to hear that too. Any good takeaways, any aha moments, anything that you want to try?
All right, and you guys can jump in the chat and feel free to put it in there, or just unmute yourself and speak. I, for myself, would like to say thank you. I think it is so refreshing to see someone who is honest about the challenges in life. A lot of times I think we try to hide the parts of our lives that don't go well, that don't match up to some, press release or some storybook version of what's really happening. And so I want to say thank you so much for your honesty in sharing some of the challenges that you've faced and how you've overcome them, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be a constant upward trajectory. The reality is there are bumps along the road. And I think if we're all a little more honest about the things that happen in our own lives and other people's lives, we can approach ourselves with empathy and approach other people with empathy. So thank you so much for sharing that part. And obviously the tips and tricks, I mean, little things that can help. There's big things. I know I talked to Michael about diet, and you can make big changes there. I think some of the other people picked up on that. But there's also the little things like the breathing and the time rules. How can you give yourself a few minutes of space when you start to notice that you're not performing at your best, when you're not feeling your best, because those things will add up over time. So thank you so much on behalf of myself and I think everybody else on the call. You're certainly the Foresight team. Thanks for coming out and sharing some of that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And looking at these comments here, we've got someone wanting to do morning ritual. I love it. Not looking at your phone first thing in the morning. I love it. So true. And if you can fix the challenges, then they won't come back tomorrow. It's so true, honestly. And the reality is everybody's going through a hard time. And what I have found in my own life is that when I'm transparent, when I'm vulnerable enough to share, I actually find that I'm able to create deeper connections with people. And then people start sharing all these stories about things that are going on in their own lives. And you realize, like, gosh, we really are all in this together. Everybody's got something that's happening. And it just, allows us to have opportunities to be with each other. So yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. And I actually just realized I forgot to give you a link for the handout. I had a handout for the blueprint for a balanced life. So what I'll do is I'll email it to you and you can email it to the group afterwards as a little reminder of all the different things that you can try for your day.
That works.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, you guys are great.
Awesome. I think we're a little bit over time. I will take 2 seconds to plug. If you guys don't have plans for next Tuesday, I think Tony's already sent around the invite. We are going to be talking about a little bit less personal, a little bit less focused on how you can make your team work well, but working with engineering, procurement, and construction contractors, how to get the best out of working with outside, when to bring in some of those skill sets, what do you have to do in-house, what can you look to other people to do for you, and how to make that relationship with a third-party organization work well and work to the benefit of your company. So get yourself working well, get your teammates working well, recognize when there are problems, but also how to interact with the rest of the world is what we're talking about next week. We're going to have a great speaker in Barry Hagelin sharing some of his personal stories. He's been a CEO, he's been a CTO, he's worked in big companies, he started his own. And then we will have Marcus Temke from Carbon Engineering, who's certainly worked with some EPCs in his time, as well as Warren Johnson, who's worked in small tech companies and now works for an engineering company. So he'll tell you his stories about both sides of the fence there and his perspective on it. So unless there's any questions, I will release you all to maybe check your emails for one last time today before you create some space for yourself.
Thanks a lot, Nicole.
Thank you guys. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.